go. Okay, so nice to meet you all. My name is Yali. I'm the creative director at Simply. We're developing apps like Simply Piano and Simply Guitar and Simply Sing and Simply Draw. And I've been leading creative teams in the tech and media industries for the past decade. I love being in the intersection of creative productions and performance data. And I spend way too much time on social media, but I say it's for work. And today we're going to talk about creative marketing and how to make the best out of your acquisition budget through creative work. And I have this incredible group of people sitting with me today. I'm going to introduce them one by one. And please help me with a round of applause to each of them. And we're going to start. We have Matt Weisberg, Director of Global Creative Marketing at Plarium. Coming from a performance marketing background in tech, he now leads in-house creative preparation, building campaigns that uses cinematic storytelling to drive ROAS at scale. Next up, we have Hadass Arbiv. All right. Marketing creative lead at Playstudios. Hadass comes from both gaming and advertising with a real passion for creative that tells a story and delivers results. She's all about turning big ideas into campaigns that actually work. We have Johnny Meital, creative strategy lead at Papaya. With vast experience crafting creative strategies for mobile games and online publishers, Johnny brings the spark where imagination meets data and turns it into UA magic. And lastly, we have Tamir Avraham, creative marketing lead at Candivore. Tamir has been in the creative world in over a decade, 8 of those years in performance marketing in gaming. He's passionate about creativity, storytelling, and understanding what moves people. He considers himself lucky to make a living doing what he loves. Okay, so let's start. So in my opinion, one of the biggest levers in high-performing creative teams in marketing is building a creative machine. I believe that being creative in tech is more than having the best idea or the funniest concept, and it's more about building a system and iterate and do systematic work. So let's talk about building creative machine. Johnny, at Papaya there's a system where creative and UA work closely together. What does that look in practice?
So obviously there's a gap between UA and creative. I think that both teams they have different ways and language to talk about creative and performance. And obviously it costs a lot of tension. And to deal with that, we bridge the gap at Papaya by creating a unique, a hybrid role, creative strategist. Basically, it's a group of people that they have, I'll say, creative mindset, like they know and understand creative. And on the other hand, they're not intimidated by data. And they know the numbers. So they don't run the campaigns and they don't write new cool concepts of creatives. Instead of that, they dive deep into the data. They I'll say, match the image to the performance itself. And then they come up with our strategy. And eventually they bring to the table action items that can then be passed on to the creative managers. And that way the creative managers can focus on what actually works on our creatives, and they don't shoot in the dark when they trying to do a brainstorming session.
So in one hand, there's the creative managers and the UA managers, and the strategist sits in between?
The strategy is like the bridge between these two different teams.
That's super interesting. Hadass, back in the day when you moved from ad agency world to gaming, you had to learn this structured data-first mindset. How did you adapt to the pace and system creative production in performance marketing?
So I have to say that the transform between the advertising to the game world wasn't easy. At first, it seems like everyone was speaking in a different language, like all the shortcuts, the ROI, DAO, even the names of the game. So I really have to learn this new language. And of course, everything is measured. It blew my mind. because in the advertising world, I worked especially on fashion. So we usually did 2 big campaigns in the holiday, Rosh Hashanah and Passover. And we never really knew if people came to the store because they saw the ad, the campaign, or because it's the holiday time and they want to buy new clothes. But in the gaming world, where everything is measured, I can see immediately if my creative works and how I can tweak it to make it better. And now, with all of my knowledge, I'm working now on Tetris Block Party. It's in a soft launch phase, so everything. We measured everything, and we scaled because of that.
Do we have any more people here that made the change from being in ad agencies to work in tech? Okay, we'll talk afterwards. Okay, Tamir. When we had our intro, you talked a lot about emotions and empathy. How do you keep that alive when the creative process starts feeling like a machine?
Well, it's true. The process does feel like a machine, but empathy and emotion. This is the core of the job for me. This is what you do. I'll put it like that. I often see UA teams trying to analyze creative work by KPIs and data and performance. But, leaderboards, you always wait for the leaderboard to get a sense of what is working, but it ends there. You see what is working, but you don't know why it works, why someone clicked on a specific ad and did not on other. And to fully analyze and understand that, it has to come with understanding of the audience and understanding the creative. And you need a creative person that does this a lot and train his gut feeling and intuition. I call it like creative instinct, that something is going to move there, it's going to work, and this is your theory in this creative. And if it does work or does not, you can take a lot of that out of that. And I don't want to sound like an hippie, but it's business related.
This is the place to sound like a hippie. No,
Yeah.
this panel.
Business-wise, this is saving money and time because you iterate smarter and you're going in the right direction. You don't send to production creatives that eventually are just the wrong direction. They didn't hit because someone treated the creative as let's say a jigsaw, that you took the intro and the body and mixed it. It doesn't work like that. Creative is an experience, and you should read it and analyze it that way.
That's a really interesting take, actually. So Matt, you're running a big operation at Plarium. What have you learned about scaling creative machines, and how do you make the system doesn't kill experimentation?
Well, it's a really interesting question because I kind of relate to all the speakers here. Like, we have similar ways of tackling the creative system. So how we work, it's going to sound simple to everyone, but we work in sprints like in dev, right? So it's a 2-week sprint of delivery. It's pretty simple, but it's not, because every sprint we kind of ideate and build a hypothesis for every month that we're able to test and iterate on. And then even before that, we do like the simplest thing possible. We run research, right? We do creative research on what are the actual things the players, the new players that we're trying to bring into the game itself would want. And it's kind of sounds simple, but it's not. Sometimes you don't have a big research team, but some teams are actually using Perplexity or other AI tools to do that. But if you even go on Reddit and like scan the threads, you will probably discover a lot of insights on your potential players or like app users that they actually want and need. And then if you build your hypothesis around that, then you're probably going to be able to succeed even more. And then, so like I said, creative research, like working in really like staggered sprints and able to deliver fast. And then sort of the way that you're able to iterate on that is also pretty flexible. So it's not going to take you like 6 months to actually react to something. You're going to be able to do that in 1 month.
It's interesting that when I wrote the questions, I had thought that when talking about building creative machine, we must talk about the number of assets that we create in a weekly basis or in a sprint. Let's not make it into a competition, but just to get a sense. Feel free to just jump, whoever wants to answer, but let's talk numbers. Like, how many assets do your teams create in like a week?
Since I'm holding the mic, I'll go like, I think like, I'm not sure like if I'm legally allowed to like disclose that, but I'm gonna say it only takes one asset to succeed, right? So like, and this is kind of the North Star that we have to like chase for that one successful creative that's gonna perform, and we're able to do that on month-to-month basis. But like, I'll say like hundreds plus, and also
a week. Hundreds plus a week.
Yeah, and also depends on the game itself. Some of the games, depending on the kind of a niche of the game, I'll go ahead and jump into the Raid. So Raid, it's a 7-year-old game, right? So the gacha-based game. It's sort of like a AAA, different kind of audience for, let's say, match 3 genre and all that. So it requires surprisingly different kind of assets in different volume, because some of the assets actually last longer. Because if you, like as an example, we are running one ad since January and it's not burning out, like, because it's pretty successful. So like, you know, it's like things can be extended better.
Hadas, you're launching a new game. How does it work now?
Yeah, well, we need to build like the portfolio of the performance from scratch, because it's a new game. It's not like a strong game, like you said, that has the top performing and we need to adapt that. I need to create everything from scratch. So the idea is to create variety of concepts. You need to understand the product, the game itself, what is its highlights, and create a lot of concept. Like,
what's a lot? Let's talk numbers. Like, how many assets do I need to create a week in order to launch a new game?
It's not the assets, it's the amount of concept. I mean, one concept can
be multiple assets.
Be with 10 creatives inside of it and more. But the idea that the approach that I'm working on is to create a lot of concepts and to see which concept work the best, and then drill down and create a lot of that. And as Matt said, if you had that top performing ad, you only need one. You can iterate it, and you don't need much more than that.
So, in a world where we create hundreds of assets or like dozens of assets a week, let's talk about creative testings. One of our main challenges at Simply right now is to understand the best way to let the new creative or the new concept or the new asset, like the best possibility for this specific concept to deliver and to meet the audience. And when you're creating hundreds of assets a week, how do you really give all the assets a fair chance to succeed? So creative testing is a big topic when talking about building creative machine. Johnny, how do you bring new creatives into new campaigns?
Obviously, there's many different ways you can do testing. At Papaya, we mostly start off, we set a clear benchmark. Could be IPM, CPI, depends on the game, on the industry. We mostly look at IPM, which is the amount of installs you get per 1,000 impressions, and CPI, how much you actually pay for the install that you get. Once you have this benchmark, like a specific number, you keep the benchmark throughout all the testing period, and we come up with a handful of fresh new creatives. I'll say if you want numbers like around 10 to 15 new creatives. We run all of them on the same campaign, and if any of the creatives actually hit the mark, then we move it from the testing campaign and into the business as usual list. And then I think that's where things really get interesting, because once we have a certain amount of winning creatives, we kind of like dive deep and trying to understand like what were the elements that actually made the creative so successful. And then we start kind of like the iteration process. We want to iterate the creatives and keep them fresh, and we want to use the same winning elements in new creatives as well.
Okay, I get that. Matt, at like massive budgets and massive amounts of assets that you create, does this think that creative testing is worth the time?
Well, it kind of depends. Like, maybe I'll zoom out for a second. Like creative testing, I'm a firm believer in creative testing, but it kind of heavily depends on the life cycle of the product. So, if it's a heavy UA title, heavy UA app, in my mind, and what we have been doing at Plarium, like for those titles, is actually to let the creatives compete with the top performing ads in the business as usual campaigns. This has been proven kind of the best scenario. Plus, as a person that's coming out of gaming, like I've been working like in tech and B2B, like this has been this scenario for those companies as well, for digital products. So if you have a mature title, mature product, like sort of like shifting a top performing creative from a testing like campaign to like a actual like business as usual campaign, in most of the cases was unsuccessful for me, but I guess like it's my personal experience. But if we're talking about soft launch kind of stages, like early like GTM kind of products that you need to actually find the right creative direction and find the right visual aesthetic, that's a totally different story. And then kind of to carve out the budget for that is going to be probably easier. So kind of to summarize, it highly depends on the life cycle of the product. And yeah, as a trade secret, maybe it's known for everyone, maybe it's not. For Raid, we're doing this with BAO campaigns, and it works pretty well.
Do you have anything to add maybe to this, Hadas or Tamir, into creative testing? Okay. I'm going to jump to a new topic that I thought maybe not to touch upon, but we will. So sorry for doing that. So in my experience, outside of the gaming world, emotional ads perform best. Like when you introduce emotion into your ads, it just performs better. But what I can see from just like scrolling social media, a lot of the gaming ads are mostly around like gameplay. So Tamir, maybe you can answer. How do you bring emotions into gaming ads?
I think that it's a wrong assumption that gameplay is the opposite of emotional experience. Because gameplay is joy, people playing games. The bottom line to become happier if it's for just a short time, but it's just be happy. And so it's like the light at the end of the tunnel that you can bring happiness with gameplay ads. And it's fun. And my goal as a creative marketing is to show the audience that my game is funner than the competitor's game. And the way to do it is, it's again emotional understanding of the situation. Basically, I understand where I catch them and how to penetrate the built-in doubt they have in my product because they see a lot of ads. But together with the UA managers, I understand the platforms, the networks, and exactly where and how, if it's in-app placement, outside, and then I can refine the message and basically promise them a better fun. This will bring healthier installs and better retention. And I guess it depends in the product itself, but it's in our game economy, I prefer good retention than massive, the cheapest CPI and massive installs. So I need these, let's say, quality users more than mass installs.
Interesting. Matt, I just saw a few really cool ads from Plarium the other day using Ninja Turtles, I think. So like using familiar IP is like a really big engagement hook or a really big like emotional hook. Does that change like retention or CTR? Like do you see the difference between familiar IP or just like plain?
Yeah, I think it's kind of definitely there's a lot of answers to that, but like one of the main answers is like let's look at the game for a second. So Raid is a champion-focused game. This is the reason that players come in. They want to kind of obtain new champions. But then it's also a 7-year-old game. Most of the audience in US most likely has been exposed to all of the ads ever, and they're pretty much get used to seeing the same thing all over. And then how do we make this kind of meaningful moment for them to go into the game right now? So saying, okay, so this is the why now moment. And this is where the IP integrations come into play, is kind of creating those new, meaningful, new worlds, new opportunities, crafting new champions for people to actually relate to, and then seeing something new. It's like the strategy that we've built for the game is that people just don't want to play those lame-ass characters anymore, and we want to bring new ones, right? And then what's better rather than just bringing TMNT or Alice's Adventures, like Alice in Wonderland, right? So or He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. People actually relate to that, and they feel that this is a totally new game, or at least totally new world. And this is why they jump into the game right now. Because honestly, that's all about timing. If I've seen millions of ads on YouTube and I didn't find the right opportunity or a place in my heart to go and download the game, most likely I'm not going to do that in a year from now. But if I have the right reason, I'll do this right now. I'm probably going to be one of the top depositors in the game.
That's cool. I'm going to jump to the next topic, and something that I am I'm carrying a few scars on my body from this topic. This is a cliffhanger right there. So let's talk about brand versus performance. If we talk about big cinematic ads with the Ninja Turtles or any other activity that we use on marketing. Adas, I know you have a lot of experience with brand versus performance. How do you see the difference, and how do you know when to lean towards one or the other?
So this is the big match, the performance versus brand. There's a lot of researchers about how amount of the yearly budget need to go to performance and how on brand, but I actually think you have to do both. If I buy this soap or the one next to it on the shelf, or why should I play this game or the other game, this is the job of branding. And it takes time to build brand identity. And you can't see the result overnight. It takes time. So you have to create performance campaign as well at the same time, because in performance campaign, you see the result right away. And I have to say that there's another approach called brandformance that is a holistic campaign that combines both. You do brand campaign, but it drives installs. So it depends on which source you perform, whether it's TV or out of home or Google, Facebook, whatever, and you create the creative according to that source.
Let's talk tachles. When you do this big offline campaign, or you do TV, how do you measure the impact on the installs from that campaign?
Like I said in the beginning, everything is measured. We can see the install in the time of the commercial break. We can actually see who downloaded immediately the game. But as I said, again, brand identity takes time. If viewer watched the ad on TV, it not necessarily said that it immediately downloaded it. But maybe a week later, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 1 month later, he will see a performance ad and he will click it. Or maybe he will go to the store and he will download it. There's a gap. It's not immediately the brand approach, but you need to build your brand identity because you want people to know what is your game, what is your product, and why this one is better than the other.
Tamir, Do you also feel that there's tension between performance and brand?
Well, I don't do brand marketing per se, but I always tend to keep some brand marketing features inside any ad, because you cannot something you can measure. It's like you need to support it in every performance. If it's placing the logo in the intros or keeping this high value production in some level. You know, we're all living in a business with a budget and everything, but there is a way to keep a level of production and never go below it. This is enough most of the time as brand let's say being effective as a brand, and just keeping your stuff look awesome. This is great for brand performance marketing.
So if we talk about making stuff look awesome, we just have to talk about Plarium, like super cinematic ads. So what I saw, maybe I'm mistaken, but like all of your ads are like super cinematic, like top of the line ads. So how does it work with your tight performance goals?
Well, since we also have Plarium CMO here in the crowd, so I'll be totally honest, right? All of the trailers you have seen are UA first. Like every single asset that we craft on the day-to-day basis have really strict KPIs. Everything is measured, of course. But in a way, we were able to create a system, a structure for the brand trailers to serve as a performance marketing creative. So if you dissect it, you will see the right proper hook. You will see a proper like mid structure, whether it's a giveaway or some sort of justification to go into the game. You will see really kind of a lot of work that was invested into making this a performance asset. Plus, if you look at all of the campaigns that we have been producing, like for the last year at least, you'll see that we're able to utilize all of those CGI trailers in a variety of cut downs, meaning that every single asset is being reused, resticked with gameplay, different aesthetics, UGC, etc., etc. So we're kind of extending the lifetime of those creatives constantly on a monthly basis. So yeah, it is cinematic, but it's also kind of cinematic performance. So the way that we look at this, every story that's being crafted is also something that's we have researched and seen that's working well for the game. You've touched on that, talking about like misleading ads, right? So it's interesting, like if you look at the cinematic campaigns that we run, and then you look at other gaming companies, you look at Royal Match as a title, you look at Hero Wars, right? They have a specific format that works really well for them, right? For Royal Match, it's a King's Dreams, right? So like this kind of distress of King being eaten or something like that. Hero Wars is, unfortunately, sorry to say this, over-sexualized creative of like this knight being like falling into the dungeon and then trying to make his way out. And this is what works really well for each of those companies. What works well for us is a cinematic experience. Why? Because this is the audience. We're talking about dark fantasy, 40+ people that enjoy this kind of storytelling. This is what they expect, and we're matching their expectations constantly. And yes, of course, we try other stuff. We do a lot of other things. We do live action. We do UGC. We do a lot of the things. But the expectation from the crowd that grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons is actually to see AAA TMNT trailer. This is what they want, and we're giving it to them, and this is what proves to be a successful effort.
That's awesome. Cinematic performance. I'm going to take that. Our head of revenue is sitting in the audience, so I'm going to say to him, cinematic performance is our next thing. Okay, I really wanted to have this panel like not touch AI at all. So I think we're just going to finish now, and I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about AI. Johnny, how do you use AI in your everyday work? Don't tell me ChatGPT. I want the dirty stuff. I want, like, give me the workflows.
Well, we want all the dirty stuff, okay. Obviously, if you're not using AI, you'll just stay behind. So I'm pretty sure all of you are using it anyhow. And obviously we're using it for blah, 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 fast delivery, more like higher quality assets and so on. But I think a lot of us are missing the opportunity to use AI and like AI tools in order to iterate and like create new variations for your top performing ads. I'll just give you like an example. Let's say that I have my best performing creative is a street interview where like a young woman, she's walking the streets of New York and she asking people if they wanna like see how they can play solitaire on their phone. You'll be amazed how easily it is to boost your performance just by changing like the scenery or the character itself. So let's say if you have such a good creative, I'll suggest that you ask your creative managers to come up with, let's say, 5 new variations of the same creative. You know, one time she could be blonde, the other time she could be a brunette, she can become a...
So you create live action generative AI.
We keep the same text and the same flow for the best performing ad, and we
but the actual hero in the ad is...
We're gonna change the blonde to brunette. We're gonna make her I don't know, a dude. She can now be in the Shuka Carmel, or she can be in Miami.
Shuka Carmel is good.
And you will definitely see better results.
Can you talk about the tools? Like what are the tools that you are using in order to take the blonde and make it a brunette?
Yeah, we mostly we have a library where we keep all of our best performing prompts. So if I have this street interview, I can just take this specific prompt and I'm just asking the VR3, whatever you guys using, Sora, whatever. You just ask the machine to switch the character from a woman to a man, per se. And you kind of like get the same creative, same flow, same text, and you can run all of these creative one against each other, and you can boost the performance, and you also get to know your audience. You may like find new characters that you would like to use in the future as well.
That's cool. And can you share what AI unlocked for you and your team?
Well, first of all, the game itself work with Genie Labs really closely, and all the game, all the characters, it's amazing what they can do. On the marketing aspect, I'm gonna continue, Johnny. Let's take the UGC ad. We used to write a script, cast actors, prepare production day, photo shoot, editing, and it takes a lot of time until you see the final product. But now with AI, I can write a script with AI. I can generate an actor that fit to my audience. Then I can take both of I take the script and turn it to a voice. And then with TikTok AI tool, OnlyHuman, I put them together and generated a video in the length of the voice. I mean, with VO3, you only get 8 seconds. But with the TikTok AI tool, it provides me a video in the length of the voiceover. So it's amazing. And then my team add the gameplay footage, and in a few hours you get a UGC video. And if I want to change the language, it's simple as that.
And it's really like live in the campaigns like this Gen AI ads, and they're performing and working just as good as the live action production ads.
Yeah.
That's insane. Matt, Tamir, do you want to add on the AI stuff?
Well, maybe from a different perspective, because we also run kind of heavy post-production pipelines. So like what AI is doing for us at the moment, at least, there's a lot of things that we're able kind of to speed up. Because we're talking about CGI trailers that take like 6 months to produce. Like some of the tools that we already have access to are able. Let's say we're talking about character animation, right? Like rigs and all that. Things that usually takes like months to finesse. You can do it in like a few days, right? So like it's already happening. I do have to know that as a kind of a quick note on us and how we operate. As a side note, the leaner the operation you run, the faster you're adopting AI. So like we're not a lean operation, so it takes us obviously a bit more time to adopt kind of the most advanced tools out there. But we're getting there, and there's a lot of great things out there that we have been doing for a while.
That's cool. Tamir, do you want to add? We do. I think so. We do? We have 3 minutes. We have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right.
I'm going to 60 seconds. Go.
So yeah, I will start with what not to do with AI, in my opinion, which is the tie the ideation part of the process to AI, because as I mentioned a lot before, you want to keep the eyes on the ball, and the ball is the audience. You know, you want to keep that sense of what's moving people in your hands, and to keep practicing this creative muscle, and basically it's making your vision reality quite fast. You don't need to chase any team member for asset. You don't need to interrupt any other team. It depends on the team. There are creative marketing production teams, but if you don't have it, you don't need to chase the product itself, and you can adapt your ideas quite fast and publish it and see the results, and this is the best part.
Okay. We're not going to have Q&A. I wanted to do it before, but we didn't. So we're going to have the Q&A outside, but just like, let's just go really fast, each of you. Just like one piece of advice to every creative marketer in the room. Let's start with you, Tamir.
Hug your UA manager close. Don't let them get away. Don't let them do anything without creative support or creative understanding. Sometimes this profession looks very easy from the outside. It's not. You know, every one of us knows. Don't let anyone skip that phase.
Solid. Matt.
I have a bunch, but maybe like the most important one is kind of know your crowd, right? Research your audience. Actually research. If you don't have a full-blown 10 plus people researchers like on your team, just use AI to research what actually trends, what people want. This will do wonders for your creative efforts, because if you tap into that, people would actually want to, download your product and deposit or whatever, any like in-game or in-app action you want to do.
Well, my advice is to keep the creative muscle working. I mean, search for inspiration, not only in the game world, everywhere. Because I came from the advertising agency, the Cannes Lion is my mecca, and each year I watch all the winners' ad, and it opened my mind. So keep search for inspiration.
My final advice would be to every creative marketer should be able to measure himself. So don't rely 100% on your UA manager. I'll say find like 2 to 4, 5, whatever, a few metrics that you can follow and understand by yourself, so you'll be able to measure yourself and make better creative decisions in the future.
Solid. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful. And thank you so much for being here. And let's catch you outside. Thank you so much.